If you're planning a charter with your family this season, chances are you're going to gravitate towards the Mediterranean because that's simply what people do. But believe it or not, there's a region in the northeast of Poland called Missouri that offers a really compelling alternative. And they've been good enough to invite me along and the family, as you can see, the missus and 2 kids up top. And they've given us this, a Northman 1200, to get amongst it and see what it's all about. The moment you arrive here at Nowy Sztynort, it's impossible not to be impressed both by the scale of the place and also by the facilities on offer. It's very clear that there's a lot of ambition behind the scenes and a lot of budget to make those ambitions come to fruition. So what we're looking at here is already the largest marina in the whole of Poland. We've got 450 berths around here. That includes a very active charter fleet as well as plenty of visitor moorings. And the lake itself is a relatively compact and intimate circular lake, Lake Sztynort, with a little canal in the corner there, just to connect you to the broader network of lakes that make up the Missouri region. Now, more than 2,000 of those lakes, each interconnected with canals, stretches all the way from the airport, which is about 70 miles west, right over to the Lithuanian border, which is another 80 and 90 miles east. Stretches about 130 kilometres top to bottom. So the cruising region here at the heart of it, where we're based, is quite extraordinary. As for the facilities, well, if we start over here, we've got some practical little touches, of course. We've got the fuel berth over there, nice and protected, easy to use, both diesel and petrol. To the side of that, we've got all the laundry facilities, the shower blocks, the toilets. If I look across to the other side, well, over there, you'll see we've got a little yellow crane. Well, they've got their own dry dock here, plus an entire team of engineers. So sorting out your problems is not an issue at all. And also down here, this little orange Parker rib, well, that's their emergency rib that will come out and rescue you if you have any problems at all out on the water. So you do feel in safe hands here when you charter. It's very much a family resort and it feels that way. There are picnic spots all over as well, bonfire spots, barbecue spots, you name it. Very picturesque indeed. So you can always find yourself a quiet little corner just to tuck yourself away if you want to escape the crowds at the bar. Over here we've also got a helipad. That's a new feature here, just to bring people in from further afield, places like Gdansk and Warsaw. And they tell me it's a pretty active facility here now, people coming from much further afield. Over the back here we've got a beach volleyball court, or a couple of them I should say. That's apparently big sport here in Poland. Everybody does it right from school age upwards. And behind that we've got a 13th century mansion. Now that is under renovation at the moment, but it's a beautiful thing. It won't be used for additional facilities for the marina complex itself because of course it's of significant historical value. But next to that we've got what used to be the stables and the piggery. Now the stables have been turned into a hotel, so you can have a bit of luxury. There are 59 beds in there. And beneath that is the piggery, which has been turned into a kind of vaulted cellar bar called Senza, which is a really beautiful place to go in the evening for a drink, a cocktail or a bit of food. Really lively. Beyond that, we've got 2 additional buildings which have been linked and renovated, and one of those serves as office space. So whether you're a visiting boater or you want to come here for a couple of months or even basically relocate your offices, they've got all the facilities you need. And on the other side of that building you've got a museum, one devoted to this site and its history, and another devoted to sailing, a sailing museum, a really interactive one with VR goggles and all sorts of educational aids for your kids. And there's also a very handy shop just here. Relatively compact, but really well stocked. Lots of local Polish produce. A really good place to provision before you go out for a cruise. In spite of the fact that this is a relatively remote corner of northeastern Poland, there's also a couple of places that are particularly interesting to visit around here. The first of those is the Wolf's Lair, which is basically Hitler's hideout for a lot of the Second World War, for him and in fact for a lot of his high-ranking officials in the Nazi party. you can still see remnants of the places they lived and the way they lived, places where they made really fundamental decisions in relation to the Second World War and to the Holocaust.
Hitler had only got one ball. Goering had got but very small. Himmler had something similar, but po small go balls had no balls at all.
And on a similar note, tucked away in the trees, hidden from view, there are some locks which were designed to take U-boats right up to the Baltic. Now, they were never finished, they were never used for U-boats, but the scale of the engineering is something to behold, so definitely worth a bit of a detour if that's your kind of thing. But thanks to Anthony Tobin, that's the guy who organises the charter at Nowy Sztynort, what we're going to do right now is jump on a boat, a 6-berth flybridge cruiser, take it away onto the broader lake network of the Missouri region and see what it's all about. So we got hold of our boat, a Northman 1200, at about 12 o'clock, wouldn't we? Yeah. In Sztynort, and we'd done about 5 hours cruising and arrived exactly where we intended, despite some navigational difficulties, in Giżycko, which is a fairly significant sort of town. And we've just been for pizza. Where did we go for pizza? What was it called? Kolko.
Kolko, yes, Kolko.
Recommended by Anthony, the guy who's organised this entire affair for us, and it was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it? Brilliant pizza, brilliant wine. Brilliant people, lovely Pepsi, and a great side, and a meal for 4, all in with a really good bottle of wine, came to less than 50 quid. It's about half what you expect to pay in most marinas around the UK, certainly in the posh parts of the Mediterranean. So we're really feeling the benefits of being in this part of the world. But actually there's a couple of other things that are of interest. Firstly, the fact that you know, when you come and navigate on lakes like this, and as I say, there are more than 2,000 in these regions, you kind of need to know what you're up to so you can avoid the navigational hazards. There are not loads of them, but those that there are, you need to be aware of. And there's a really good app that we downloaded at the recommendation of the locals called Zegluj. That's probably not the way you pronounce it, it's Z-E-G-L-U-J. But that's kept us brilliantly safe, hasn't it? And when we couldn't go down the desired route we wanted to go down.
There was an exploring.
There was.
Yeah,
we had to go a different way, didn't we?
Yeah.
We arrived where we intended. We had a brilliant time, haven't we?
Flying middle. And we have had a brilliant time.
We have had a brilliant time. And the fact of the matter is, even though this part of the world is probably a bit less polished and a bit less exclusive than, you know, the kind of go-to destinations of the Mediterranean, that's actually, after just one day exploring it, a major part of its charm. If you don't fancy going to the restaurants every night, it's good to know that the provisioning here is also pretty affordable. Before we set off, we equipped our boat with meat and drink and bread and fruit and so on, enough for 4 people for 2 days, and it cost us less than 20 quid. So you never get a sense that actually the costs are getting out of hand in this place. And the same goes for the marinas. I mean, where we are now, Giżycko Marina, a bit of a destination marina in this neck of the woods. And it's very well organised, very friendly, very well provisioned. But it's still, for a boat that is just in excess of 12 metres for 4 people with electricity for the night, cost us just under 35 quid. And that, relative to the kind of cost you'd expect to be incurring in the Mediterranean, is a real treat. We just woken up on day 2 of our cruise in Giżycko Marina. A really good night's sleep, very quiet. Just had breakfast at the local restaurant, which was very good. And again, for 4 of us, very affordable at less than 20 quid. And I'm just going to give you a sense of the nav plan as it stands. So we started off in Sztynort. This is the app I talked about, incidentally. Came out into this larger lake, Giżycko, headed south, southeast along here. Tried to go through this little canal to get to Giżycko, where we currently are, but that was of course the one where we encountered that low bridge, so we came further south and through here and then cut back north. But today we got another brilliant little itinerary planned for us by Anthony at Sztynort. So we're going to come down through Lake Negocin into this little channel here, and if I zoom in just to this little cove here, that, I won't even attempt to pronounce it, but that is a resort owned by the same guy who owns Sztynort, and apparently it has the very best fish restaurant in the whole of Missouri, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Now, as I pointed out, the navigational simplicity of this region is really quite attractive. It's really not a lot to challenge you. There's not much to go particularly wrong. But it's still very reassuring to know that the guys at Sztynort operate their own emergency service. They have their own team, their own ribs, so they'll come out and rescue you if you need it, always on the end of a phone for advice. But it goes a little further than that too. Because if you simply want a picnic, you want some wine and some beer, they'll ferry that out on their own rib too. Really look after you. And of course they have all the contacts in this part of the world that they need to keep you serviced and happy. And actually getting a marina berth, that's engagingly simplistic too, really quite rewarding. Unlike a lot of parts in the Med, even in the height of season, you just drive straight in, find yourself a visitor mooring, pop into the office and pay, simple as that. And of course you can phone ahead on your mobile phone too. There's more mobile phone action than VHF in this part of the world, of course, because we're on the lake, so everyone's got the phone signal. So just call ahead, get it booked, in you go, and have your fun. Simple as that. It's very enjoyable indeed. So we've arrived in Rybakowska, I think it's pronounced, a couple of hours south of Giżycko, and it's a charming little marina. I've got to say, we've perched ourselves on the outside here, just so we don't spoil the atmosphere with our children. There's the kids behaving impeccably, just as I used to, and we're going to see what the fish is all about here. We were helped out by a guy when we turned up to tie our lines off. Very friendly indeed. And as we make our way ashore, this is a lovely way to do it. This is very Lord of the Ringsy. You see we've got some big old statues, timber statues on either side of the pontoon there. And when we get ashore, well again, it's so charming. Here's the restaurant on the left-hand side, swings and kayaks down there. Round to the right-hand side, we've got a big old spot there for a fire pit. And beyond that, we've got a kind of wood-fired mobile hot tub, which is very cool. This is even better. Beyond these deck chairs, just back here, next to this big pile of logs, we've got some local Polish beers on tap, plus this locomotive with 3 chimneys, which is actually a barbecue and a fish smoker. How cool is that? But the view from our table is possibly the coolest thing about it. It's only 2 minutes past 1. This place only opens at 1 o'clock, but as I say, it's a bit of a destination restaurant. And here's my guys. I'm not formally known as Big Bum, but here we are. We're about to order a lovely fish dinner. So we'll report back after that. Cheers, boys.
To go to the boat's got a bit left. Hi.
Hello. Now we were going to be heading a little further south and a little further west, past a couple of lakes, to quite a famous floating fish restaurant this afternoon. But we've had a couple of technical hitches, which means we're going to be heading to Giżycko for the night, just to avail ourselves of their facilities without wishing to be too indelicate about it. And I should point out, it's not actually the boat's fault. I've got a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and if there's a switch to turn or a button to push, they're going to absolutely do that. So I suspect the failures with the toilet system are down to my boys and not down to the boat. Either way, we'll make up for that in the morning by finding ourselves a quiet little local cove, anchoring up and having a good swim and a good beach picnic. After our unscheduled stop in Giżycko last night, we've just set off this morning. It's around about 10 o'clock, and as you can see, the boys won't actually let me get to the helm because they both consider themselves expert drivers these days.
We are.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is head west a little, take the lower of the 2 canals that we use to access this lake, go through to Lake Kisino, where apparently there's quite a small archipelago, but rather a lovely one called Swan Islands. And that's a nature reserve, so there are no jetties or bistros or tavernas, but apparently it's a really good place just to shelter from the breeze a little, anchor up and have a little swim. So that's what we'll do. And then we'll head to Stranda, which was the restaurant we missed on the way down, have lunch there, and then back to Sztynort, the resort itself, just to see what else it has to offer.
First, we need to go through that now.
That's right. Well done. You see the next set of boys. Well, I have to say, Stranda is my favourite stop so far. As you can see, we've got plenty of visitor moorings over here. You simply reverse in Mediterranean style and pick up a bow line, and there's plenty of assistance available if you're not comfortable with that. Further over here, we've got plenty of charter boats. I've just had a lovely meal. I had quite a traditional Polish feed, actually. It was a beautiful slow roasted pork knuckle with some pickled cucumber and potatoes. It was delightful, a couple of beers as well. And the facilities are fantastic. Loads of brand new showers, toilet facilities. Plenty of seating under cover if you want a bit of shelter from the weather. And plenty of alfresco seating too, for that matter. And if we move over this way, this is quite cool. We've got a self-service beer dispenser here. They make their own beer, so that's magnificent. Light and dark beer, depends what you fancy. Further around here, we've got some additional little rental boats down here in a nice little seating area. And here's a stage for live music. And just around the corner, this is even better. We've got a sauna over there. Just down here, a little beach so you can access the water. Your kids can have a swim. And if you want to have a couple of beers while the kids are playing, we've got a play park up there as well. That's exactly what they're doing. And beer is exactly what I'm going to do. Now actually, to this point, most of what I've been talking about has involved the nature of the experience of cruising in this region. But actually, I've got to say, as a charter platform, this Northman 1200 has been absolutely fantastic. For a start, of course, we got a flybridge. Always helps when you're cruising with your kids to have an additional deck, just so you can separate a little bit, rather than having to keep each other company 24/7. If I step on board, you'll see it's a pretty secure boat too. Nice deep set walkways on both sides and a good secure cockpit aft. If I pop in here, well, although we just have a single Yanmar diesel 100 horsepower on a straight shaft, which is potentially quite a difficult thing to drive with this kind of elevation and windage, well, we also have on all of their charter boats here, look, bow and stern thrusters, which makes everything spectacularly simple. We can all look like professionals and it's not in the slightest bit intimidating, even when you've got a bit of a beam wind. As for the accommodation, if I pop down below, well, it's not a huge boat, but it's certainly voluminous. We've got the master cabin up there in the V of the bow. We've got a pair of heads compartments, one on either side. They mirror each other exactly. Both have a separate shower. Not quite space for a separate toilet. That toilet's in the shower, but very well put together. And then, in addition to all of that, which is particularly brilliant if you've got two kids who like to quarrel like I have, we've got a cabin on either side. Only single occupancy is a family of 4, but as you can see, plenty of space there for a couple of people if you need it. And pretty much the same story on the other side. So my kids have been absolutely delighted with the way things have turned out. If I just squeeze past you there and head aft, we'll pop up to the flybridge for a quick look at that too. I quite like the fact actually that you have to go round to the front of the boat to access the flybridge. As I do so, just point out this skipper's side door. That's made things particularly easy, and we've got side windows everywhere, as you can see, so talking to your partner or your kids when they're doing the lines is really easy. There's another little place here to escape easily, again big enough for 4 or 5 people. And the fact that the steps to the flybridge are right here means that when you're at the helm you always know where your kids are. If they're heading up top, you're aware of it. And the flybridge itself is a really decent size. Everything you need. Little helm here on the starboard side and C-shaped wraparound seating. Plenty of space there for 4 people to sit, the odd person to lounge. And we also have down here, which is particularly handy, a little fridge. So we've thoroughly enjoyed this boat. It's not perhaps the fastest thing in the world. It's a displacement boat, cruise along at 6 to 8 knots. Very comfortable indeed. If you increase the revs particularly, then you start to get a bit of noise and vibration, you start to burn fuel unnecessarily. But a very comfortable platform. And it's really helped us to enjoy our time exploring the waterways of the Missouri region, I've got to say. And of course, if you like sailing rather than powerboating, there's plenty of opportunity for that. We've only been here 2 or 3 days, but it strikes me that we've got some really good, consistent winds. Excellent sailing conditions. We've seen plenty of people out and about enjoying their sailing the last couple of days. And they offer sailboats in all kinds of sizes. And if you're after something a little smaller on the power side, well, they do that as well. Just here on the right hand side, you'll see some outboard powered cruisers. Nice compact things. Little 30 Suzukis on the back. Again, it's not about speed, it's just about cruising along and enjoying your day out. And although there are no speed limits here, except on the canals that join the various lakes, you just don't feel any compulsion to go faster than 6 or 8 knots. I reckon the Northman 1200 could benefit from having that kind of local app preloaded onto its MFD, so you don't have to rely on your phone all the time and scroll on a tiny screen. That said, the charter element was certainly an enormous amount of fun, but now we're done with that, it's time to make our way over to another element of the Nowy Sztynort experience, which is the floating lodges. And I'm told that the CEO's Bayliner VR6 is more directly next to our lodge, right at the end of the site here, so we can use that for the next 4 days of exploration. There are 10 lodges here. We're number 5 on the end on the left. And here we are at our floating lodge, accessed by means of your own private little pontoon, of course. And if I move around the back here, this is supplied with our lodge while we're staying here. This is a Bayliner VR6, so we can go out and enjoy the lakes whenever we like in our own little boat. And right on the end here, past these picnic benches, you've got a little ice pool, a little dip pool. And the reason for that is that just to the right hand side here, with fantastic views of the lake, we've got a proper traditional wood-fired sauna. How gorgeous is that? And if we don't catch any fish there, we'll just chill out with a couple of drinks and then head back to the floating lodge and fish off the veranda, okay?
Yeah.
Is that a great plan?
Yeah.
Is Dad amazing?
No, but I think it is a very good plan.
Excellent, I'll take that. Yeah, fair. So your fish can catch up. What have you got? I'll tell you what I'm doing with fishing. I've never been fishing in my life before. Does it show? Don't tell the boys, Daddy doesn't know what he's doing. Enjoying yourselves, lads?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. I've got other strength. As you can see, How's that, Nixie?
Better.
Feel good?
Yeah.
You're going to get your nipples in?
Hooray!
Okay. Oh, that's invigorating. Oh. I'll feel all the better for it once I've got another cold Polish beer. Oh, God, that's lovely. After 6 or 7 days of fun, very varied fun at that, it's our final evening here in Sztynort. So I thought I'd sit the family down. It is, after all, a family resort, certainly designed to be that way, and ask them how they felt about our week-long Polish adventure. What do you reckon of Poland, Casey?
I love it. I think it's really fun.
What do you like about it?
Just the language.
Really?
I think it would be really fun to learn.
Gosh.
I don't think I could handle that. What was your favourite part of the holiday then?
Probably the boat down in the Essex.
What, driving it? Driving it fast.
Yeah.
What was your favourite part of the holiday, Rexy? Apart from Nutella.
Boat down in the Essex.
You liked it too, did you? I thought you
And the Northman 1200. Northman 1200.
Yeah.
What did you like about that?
I loved it because it was so spacious.
Ah.
Because it was so spacious and easy to drive.
It was really easy to drive, wasn't it? And it was easy to park too, wasn't it? Because you had the bow thruster and the stern thruster, so it was really stress-free.
I think I might know.
The pizza. The pizza.
What, in Gazitsko?
What was
Yeah,
that?
because it's go. Because it's go.
Yeah, I think the restaurant was called Colco W.
It wasn't
Colco,
called
wasn't it?
Pizza W Colco.
It was fantastic, wasn't it?
It wasn't called Gazitsko. That's the place it was in, though.
Was it as good as Mum's pizza?
Better. No offence.
There you have it.
Dad.
My favourite was the pork knuckle with
Obviously.
pickled cucumbers and mash
Yeah, I forgot
in the strander.
Where were we the other day? Where I had the really nice pork.
Pork neck.
Yeah,
Yeah, you had pork neck and
that was my favourite.
I had pork fat on bread with pickles, and that was amazing. That was in a restaurant on the way back from Hitler's lair, wasn't it? The Wolf's
Yeah,
lair.
yeah, nice.
So, Casey, you've got to get
Wolf's
yourself
lair
back
was-
here. Favourite place?
The VR goggle thing. Was that the VR goggle museum?
Yeah, it was a boating museum here in Steinort because it had VR goggles.
I know.
What about yours? Favourite place? We'll move on. What's yours?
Here!
Here, Steinort.
Dad, your turn.
Yeah, here actually. After you've toured about and you've seen all the sights, it's just nice to come back to this little self-contained lake, isn't it, with all its facilities.
What was
and
next?
everything's just so
Favourite
simple. Well,
Mum,
Mum hasn't
your
told
turn.
us her
Yeah,
favourite
no,
place yet.
I think here as well. It's got an awful lot going on, hasn't it?
What about fishing? How do you feel about that?
Love it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about fishing.
Yeah.
nice.
Well, it's more fun for you to catch the fish than it is for me and Mum to try to manhandle it off a hook, let me tell you. It's a bit manky. But well done. You each caught a rudd, apparently. Who knew? Well, our time here in Poland has pretty much come to an end. Anthony's going to be picking us up in his van to take us to the airport in about 10 minutes. So the obvious question has to be asked, would I come back to Poland for another boating adventure? Specifically, would I come back to Nowy Sztynort to enjoy that adventure? And the answer from me has to be a resounding yes. But with provisos, of course, because this is a very distinct and distinctive place to go boating in terms of the international charter market. Now, if airport distance matters to you, if you only want to be 30 minutes away from your destination, this is probably not for you because the airport takes best part of 2 hours to reach. But on the plus side, flights are fantastically cheap. For me, the missus and the kids, return flights all in just took 200 quid and you're sorted. So that's virtually for free. And as I've intimated while we've been cruising around this region, actually you can live like a king, you can dine beautifully, and you can drink probably far more than you should. And that, by international standards, is very affordable too. Now, as a self-contained resort, there's no broader town to explore behind this marina. We're pretty remote, so you can't just get amongst the towns like you might in Nice or Cannes or Monaco. But of course, that is part of the charm. Part of the charm of this part of the world is you want to escape, and that's exactly what this place gives you. There are plenty of anchorages. There's plenty of availability of berths. So you don't have to compete for your slice of serenity. Simply go out on the water. It's there for you. That in itself is a very attractive thing indeed. So will I come back to Poland? Absolutely yes. Will I come back to Nowy Sztynort? Absolutely yes. Because what I want to do when I come away and go boating is be surprised by things. I don't want the same old stuff that everybody else is seeing. I want to immerse myself in a culture rather than merely join a popular fashion. And that is exactly what this part of the world gives you.